Alrighty, Doc here from North America. Just waiting for the ECB's number. That's what we're looking for now. You know, it was yesterday was the Fed. Today is the ECB, European Central Bank, and so that's where we are. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It is 8:30 EST on the East Coast here, Eastern Standard Time, AM, and it is 10:30, now 10:31 in Tokyo. So it just gives you the flavor of what's going on when it comes to trading in the markets. And Europa is heading towards cocktail hour, actually. No, 3 hours away from closing trading there. So we got a good 3 hours of action still in Europa. All right, where do we go? We're looking at the dollar index. You can see right there on J4X, right there. See a couple days of the weakness going on, which makes sense to us since we are perma-bears. We always think that this thing wants to go down more than it wants to go up. We think it wants to break that century mark. We're at 101 again. It dropped down to, what was that? Got down to par 0.52 and then bounced back up to the 101 change area again. You can see here's, same situation, trying to roll up. Now, how did this happen? Why are the two of them on top of each other? I'm confused. They're not. Let's take a look at that. Why is this one not on top of that one? They're supposed to be together. Move down. No. How about join together? Let's see, it's with this maximize. What's that one say? Display indicator right there. Maybe that'll do it. No. I don't know what happened there, but we got to figure a way of moving that back up. Somehow or another, they've separated themselves. I'm getting rid of the volume thing. This thing's not making any sense to me. I don't see any. We've watched it for a week, and it's so much of a lagging indicator, it's not worth staring at. Again, we do pay attention to volume. Oh, let me go to the chat line. Make sure there's a chat line there this morning, too. Oh, yeah, there is. Chat line's there. No one's saying hi. Whoa, wee. Nobody's saying hi. So, don't see... How do we get this thing to go together? We want to put them together. Move indicator? Arrange indicator. Backward, forward, send to the back, send to the backward. Move to existing panel. There we are. How about that? See, a blind squirrel. A broken clock. How many narratives can I come up with? All right, and so you can see that weakness there and this breaking down right there. Ta-da! And over in Chicago Quant, we see the green line dropping. And you see the weekly is trying to pursue the upside here. But so far, butt kiss. All right. So we have ECB. Let's get this off my chest. ECB comes out today. We've seen swap rates look kind of whack. But we see that they're pricing in a quarter percentage point increase. So, when I say that out loud or even think about it, I start to wonder. Like we saw a breakup of mergers of banks this morning. Was it Dominion, TD, one of my old favorite trading partners? Toronto Dominion, TD, is a Canadian bank, and it bought one of the big New Jersey banks a while back, Commerce Bank, and they were merging again with another bank in Pacific something or another. Guess they were going to try to hit the coast, and next thing you know is that they had to pull out of it because of the mechanics of it all and the problems with the bank in other words, you could see what happened to SVB. You could see what happened to First Republic, where the Federal Reserve bank examiners didn't do their job. Somehow or another, they just decided not to pay attention to any of the problems. And at the same time, the Fed is the problem since they're raising rates every quarter. What am I saying every quarter? I'm raising rates up a quarter yesterday in the face of a recession. So we're seeing things that have never been done before. when it comes to finance. And we know that it doesn't work because when you raise rates into a recession, you accentuate the recession. And when you lower rates into a recession, you stop a recession. And they are fighting one battle only, as much as they like to say that they're fighting labor and they're fighting whatever else crazy ideas they think they're fighting. And the end result is that it's putting a pressure into these smaller regional banks because they are been pretty bad at their investment concept. Borrowing short-term, lending long-term without hedging. That's the key word right there that you can't get Mr. Powell to spit out. The word is called hedging. And they're called options. And they are the only thing that makes this world function right anymore. Solely because it is the reason why our volatility increased. And I used to get that lecture every day as a member of the New York Stock Exchange by the old guys or the old heads. You option guys have wrecked the market. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, in the end result is the ECB is going to come out. They're going to raise their rate. And now I'm thinking, is there going to be a statement made about, smaller banks or regional banks in Europe that might be starting to feel the same pressure that our inadequate Federal Reserve didn't take care of? I mean, they actually walked away from these regional banks and did not even audit them correctly. That's the weird part. They didn't even audit them correctly or measure them correctly and stress test them correctly. So that's that's what I needed to get off my chest, because the ECB today is going to raise theirs a quarter, and let's hope that this is coming to the end of the raising until these people start to get responsible. The only way they can get responsible is good governance and stop spending money and I'm not going to insult sailors. So just stop spending money like a drug addict. That's pretty much what it comes down to. I can insult drug addicts. It's pretty easy to do. All right. From there, we go over to the euro. Let's see what the euro looks like. And there it is, dollar-euro pair trade. And you can see it's popped back up again, doing that up and away stuff. You see it right there on J4X. The buyers are, the natural buyers are coming in because, again, interest rates are dropping in the States, and that's what they're supposed to do. So as much as they raised it a quarter percentage point yesterday, overall, the markets themselves, I think you can see it. Let me just show you the 30-year real quick, and then we'll dance our way over to the, on Chicago Quant, we'll look at the euro. Yeah, there we are. So yesterday you can see the move up. Today you can see they're moving it back down a little bit. And remember, when this is rising, these two rising days means interest rates are dropping. And then the rate, and think about it. Yesterday, the market knew that the rate was going to be increased by a quarter percentage point. This is the 30-year bond. That's why it says 30-year June contract. And so it lowered rates. In other words, the bond itself was betting that it will, that rates are going down. That's what that's saying. Now today they gapped up, and you can see they're falling back down again, but just down to the original price range there. And you can see we're still in a buy. You can see our weekly is still in a buy. So obviously no real damage is going on there. Okay, so that is the I guess you could call it like the hallucinogenic world of bonds and interest rates and so forth. The Federal Reserve raises rates, and what do the traders do with the bonds? They rally them so that the interest rates drop. They buy them. Yep, that's what it is, because it's a long-term view. It's not just an hourly view to them. They're looking at it. You can see right here. They knew back in here in March, coming out of February, that the interest rates are coming to an end when it comes to raising the rates. So they started rallying them. They're anticipating. And then they did it again here after the next quarterly raise. And they did it yesterday after 2 days back, realizing the same thing. Now, they sell off a little bit for a couple of days, maybe 3 or 4 days. In this case here, it was a little bit more greater slide. That had, what they had, that was SVB, I think was involved in that. That's what that was, the SVB situation. Or maybe it was there at this point. Maybe it was in March. I forget when it was. But either one of these slides, I remember at the time, was SVB. The fact that it was falling apart, and some of the regionals are falling apart. So markets like to, I guess you could say they're a pricing system or a forward-looking pricing system. And so what they do is, as much as the logic would say, oh, interest rates are going up today, why would you buy a bond? You should be selling a bond. It's like, no, we're looking at it in a longer term. In other words, the sellers that are out there are giving it to us at a cheaper price because in 3 months it's going to be even better. Excuse me as I sip my tea. So that's what's going on there, and you can see this base that's been building. And they'll probably try to, unless there's another failure, which so far the First Republic is looking pretty stable in the sense of how they resolved it. They didn't use much of the SLIDC insurance, so there's plenty money still sitting around in the insurance plan. They don't have to liquidate anything. Everything is good. Fed didn't have to rush in and save the day. The federal government didn't have to rush in and save the day, which is the way it's supposed to be. They're not supposed to rush in and save the day. Untie that young lady off of the railroad tracks. All right. So from there, now we'll go take a look at the euro like we're doing on J4X there. And you can see same thing, a little back and fill today going on. This will reflect on the, see right there. We will see that change. The hinky will change. And when we turn off the hinky, see, how do we do that? Just turn it off for a second. You'll see it's moving down. And then we turn it back on, and that's supposed to emulate our dots. That's what that's all about to begin with, because it's like atomic theory. Square it, and then subtract it, and divide it. The angular spin. They throw angular spin for everything. I just do it for fun at this point. It's like it's a way to do reduction. As I've said many a time, it's the modern sciences today do what I call mathematical masturbation. That's pretty much what it comes down to. Why do we do a two square? Makes it look interesting. Okay, sure. Yeah, it sure isn't anything out of nature. I can tell you that. There's nothing in a lab that says, "Oh, hey guys, let's go do a 2 square." Everything works off of a 2 square. No, it does not. It's just you have to do a 2 square because everything else is 2 square. So when you start from the origin of 2 square in a mathematical formula, well, you got to reduce it by that in the end result, and then be able to get into negatives, which is kind of a unique thing in its own right when you think about negatives. But anyway, not counting when you think about zero. Is there a zero or is there not a zero? I guess that would be what was it? I can hear the name of that mathematical philosopher. About Zeno's paradox. I can hear Zeno in his grave going, "Zero? What's zero?" I heard of a great physicist a couple days call it Z. Zero. Z. All right. So there's the euro, kind of in its daily buy, so forth and so on. Let's jump over to the cable. Let's not drift too far, Doc. And there is, and the cable, it didn't get into the buy yesterday, but it's doing it right now, and it's not doing that back and fill. Both of the two big powerhouses in Europe, the cable and the euro, are both in weekly buys against the dollar. So they're saying sell the dollar, buy the pair. Let's see. What else can we say about that? Well, first of all, let's try putting it in J4X. Right. It's right underneath euro. I don't know why I would do that all the time. I go all the way down. And you can see there, it's trying to perk up after these couple of days of red. And, we had 2 days of red here. Red, but the red and the green there. So it's telling us that there's push on the upside there. There's volatility. Actually, it's a volatility signal more than anything else. In other words, it's a wave thing that tells us that, hey, something is coming. It's a I was watching something. What was it? We were watching something. A friend of mine. I was at their house for dinner, and we were watching something about quantum tunneling, intermingled with the philosophy, or like the what's the word you use? Heaven. Pretty much every religion talks about some form of heaven, and so in the minister was actually discussing the concept of quantum tunneling, and that heaven is just another galaxy, and since you can't travel there because you have physical restraints, but you can basically go into that other level of our dimensions of the underlining ether type of thing, and get there in an instance. That's quantum tunneling. We have the same thing in modern science. Quantum tunneling. That's what the double slit experiment's all about, and the fact that it is interfered when we stand there and do it, which is really strange, which I say is because we're interfering with the ether. They don't want to hear that one. They hate when I say that. But anyway, that's besides the point. All right, so why were we talking about tunneling with cable? First of all, I got cable AUD out there. That's not the one we want. We want cable, that one we want. There it is. And so now it matches up even better. As you can see, that strength in there. And you can see it's trying to turn there. And why was I talking about tunneling? I'm not sure. I was out there drifting into outer space. Sorry about that, traders. You never know where I'm going to go. See, that's why you need to ask questions. If you don't ask questions, Doc gets loose. I'm like the dog without the collar. I'm just running around. Next thing you know is I'm talking about quantum tunneling. My God. Wow, I think I realize now I was talking about squaring of a square root on everything. Oh, God, I just realized I mentioned angular momentum out loud, too. All right, sorry about that, traders. So anyway, there's the cable. It is trying to turn up. It's showing its strength. Oh, I know why. Because of my indicator there, the green and the red. That's what it was. Because the wave, the frequency itself is shifting, and that's what my indicator picks up. That's okay. At least that makes some sense now. I was just thinking I was going on a nursing home problem where I'm starting to go out there to geriatricville. All right, that makes sense. I just happened, without anybody asking questions, I got crazy about it. All right, from there we're going to drift over to the Swiss. Swiss has it seems to be doing its natural rhythm on the downside. And you can see it's the second day in a daily sell, and obviously it's higher than the day before. And we're in a weekly sell, so that pressure is still on that product. And that's why we do show charts with weeklies and dailies, because, again, we're not providing anything. This is live, but, you're not watching our work live all day long, which we're getting close. We've just created Doc software. Doc is going to have his own software instead of TradeStation or Multicharts or whoever else. Is going to be Doc software. Going to have my own software. Just finished it, or let's put it this way. The foundation now is done, and we're actually generating charts. So we're back testing now. Chicago Quant software. How does that sound? I like that idea. All right. From there, do we have the Swiss up there? No, let's get the Swiss up instead of the cable. And there it is right there. Doing that downwardly motion against the dollar, which means it's gaining against the dollar. What else can we say about any of this? Just happy to see that Switzerland is out of the woods. They've dealt with their, in many ways, when you really think about it, in Credit Suisse and how Credit Suisse had its problems, more than likely that was part of, maybe that was literally the beginning, SVB and all these regionals here in the States. That is, in other words, you got to imagine Swiss bankers are pretty efficient. They're historically known to be smart. So, they were looking out 2 years from now. That's what they were doing. They said that they had swaps and so forth. They were like the little swap house compared to Citibank in Philadelphia, in New York City, and Deutsche Bank in Frankfurt. They were like the little swap house. So those other two, who are devastated to this day from 2008's collapse of the financial system. Deutsche Bank is trading at pennies on the dollar what it used to trade. Citibank trading pennies on the dollar what it used to trade. It has not really gained more than couple bucks. That's it. Coming down from $667, it got down to about 20 some odd dollars a share. It's trading in the 40s and 50s. It's not trading at like $300 a share. So they were major swap houses where what they do is they take on risk and they swap the risk for clients. And Deutsche Bank had this is relevant. I'm not drifting out into physics again. Deutsche Bank had somewhere around 73 trillion in swaps on the books. 73 trillion, not billion, not million, trillion. The country itself is only like a $4 trillion economy. So I mean that when you have your number one bank having 73 trillion in swaps on the books, imagine if you try to take off a swap incorrectly. The next thing you know, you're losing not the swaps could be like 400 million, 50 billion. They're not $1 trillion swaps, but what they do is they have so many swaps on that this is 2023. The collapse was 2008. That's 15 years. They've reduced through expiration, them expiring. They've reduced almost like 62% of them. So they're down to like 38, 34 trillion or something like that now. So they've reduced over 60 some odd percent of their swaps, but they can't unwind them because unwinding them could like lose them $500 billion. I mean, they don't have $500 billion. They're gone. It's bad enough that they're in receivership by the the German government, by the Federal Republic. Same thing in here in the United States. The Citibank was just like $2 trillion underneath, almost close to equal at one point of Deutsche Bank, and they don't even give reports out anymore to find out what their swaps are because they're owned by the Federal Reserve. So that's why like I saw Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac yesterday. They one trades at 44 cents a share, the other one's trading at 43 cents a share. I mean, they haven't come back from the collapse of 2008. And the media won't talk about it. Only Doc here talks about that stuff. I like to talk about the finance and reality. So anyway, I'm thinking that Credit Suisse, who had something like 30 some odd trillion on swaps, realized the same situation. They were unwinding slowly, and then they got to a point where they would need, and it's an amazingly small number. It's like the size that China always likes to default on. It's like $8 billion. Why the Chinese do that, I don't understand. But anyway, it was a small number that was really going to knock them off the ledge. And so the U.S. government did swaps. The Federal Reserve, not the U.S. government, but the Federal Reserve did swaps with the Bank of Switzerland, which propped up Credit Suisse, which reduced that. But what probably tipped it over is these constant increases in interest rates. A quarter here, a half there, and now Europe is going to be basically 3.5%, something like that, or 3.25%. They've gone from -1% to plus 3.25%. That's pretty devastating in a 13-month period. That's why we're losing some of our regionals. Same devastating problem, So, anyhow, when we look at the Swiss here, it's nice to see it moving back down again. This explosion up, you can see right here, that explosion up was at the pinnacle of the swap problem, right there. Thought that was the top, did you? Nope, right there. So, you've had the currency run up about 12%. Now it's dropped back now that everything is cleaned up. Now it's dropped back down about 12%. So that's pretty cool, in a short period of time. Trust me, I'm sure Turkey would love to see their currency drop 12%. Let's see. Any country would be happy to have, in other words, when it's dropping 12%, that's a gain for the Swiss, not for anybody else. That's a good thing, so the population can, invest and buy and do things at a better rate, not the inflationary explosion of 12%. All right, from there we go over to the yen. Saw the Prime Minister this morning speaking in Tokyo. He was saying that they're uniting with these other countries like Philippines and so forth, and South Korea, and Taiwan, and Australia and the United States in more military and economic ways because of the threat of some foreign nations. And he was basically describing it as a long sight. They're looking out further into the future, and that's why they've increased their defense budget and so forth, and changed some laws so that they can be offensive a little bit. In other words, they can, and so they've set up air bases like surrounding Taiwan and so forth, and linked with the Philippines. The United States has created four new air bases, or opened up four new air bases in the last 2 months, and then the United States is building a sub pen in South Korea. So they'll have the nuclear subs parked right there, which means they're basically telling North Korea. Matter of fact, the leader of North Korea said they're being provocative. They're challenging our nuclear weapons. Yeah, surprise, surprise. Okay. From there, we go over to... Oh, we don't have the yen up there. Let's get that yen up there. Right there. So yen is trying to move down a little bit. Maybe this is... I don't know. I want to say that I expect to see the yen join in with the rest of the gang. It doesn't seem to be happening, but, it almost challenged the 37 area. It was like 36... What was that? That was 37.75. I didn't think it could get past the 36s, so that really surprised me. It just shows me how much more of a problem there is overall economically for them. And now they're bringing it back into the mean, the mathematical mean there, back underneath. It's at 134.80, and I thought it would have stalled out right there, but it did not. They gave it a real panic punch. And we're still in that weekly buy there, and you can see same situation there on J4X. But at least it's topping out in this area here, and it's a lower high. You can see that there. That's just by the hair of its chin, but it is a lower high than that high, so that's good. So that makes you think, oh, okay, yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, now from there, where do we go from there? We go to we go over to the Turkish lira. I saw it going into the buy there yesterday. We look at the euro Turkish lira pairs trade right there, showing that unfortunate strength. The population, I'm sure, is not happy about that. Devaluing their currency by such a large swath has to be pretty freaky. There it is. Right now you can see here it's made a new high, but it's backing off a little bit. Closed in the buy there yesterday. We're in the weekly buy, so it's just constantly trading in the all-time. This is all-time high territory right here. So it's it hangs up there like a balloon in a birthday party in the ceiling. It does not let go. Someday we hope the helium runs down. All right. Now from there, boy, what a quiet day. Did it? Let's go to King Peso. We're going to the King Peso right there. This is the bulk of the BRICS. This one right here, we're just anticipating. Everybody who thinks BRICS are going to happen, well, Doc's doing the same thing. This is going to be the powerhouse in the BRICS right there, King Peso. It's going to be 50 some odd percent of the index, just the way the euro is 50 some odd percent of the dollar index. And King Peso will be the same way. So, we always watch King Peso, but now we've labeled it King Peso to compete with King Dollar. And so you can see there the King Peso is holding up very well. Down, against the dollar. That as it goes down, it gains against the dollar, so it's holding really good, really good. You see that action right there. That little blip there was when they announced that they were going to join the BRICS. That scared some people. So I guess they have not dotted the I's and crossed the T's so quickly to join, but we're anticipating that they will be the King Peso and they'll be the bulk of the BRIC So when you buy a brick, over 50% of it will be just that alone. And then from there, usually we go on our litany about who's number 2 and who's number 3. And I'll give you the top 4. How's that? Top 4 is Mexican peso, for those that have not heard this insanity from me before. And then number 2 is the South African rand. Number 3 is the Indian rupee. And then number 4 is flip a coin. Doesn't really matter, because at that point, that's about 80%, if not more, of the brick. And so after that, you can throw all the rest in whatever they want, like the Brazilian real or the Chinese renminbi/yuan, or the currency that will not be named. That could be a stronger player in the brick if they could only clean up their game. The currency that will not be named. It's like Voldemort and Harry Potter. The evil currency. Ooh. Does anybody know who the evil currency is besides the dollar? It starts with an R. It lives in Europe. Okay, from there, we slide over to the 2 currencies that match up to the commodities to some extent. Unfortunately, the South African rand has really gone off the reservation on that, but the Canadian's holding up pretty well. There's the Canadian dollar. What we do is we look at we're going to throw Canadian on here real quick, like so. And then we're going to jump like a bunny. We're going to jump over to crude oil right there on the other screen. So there's crude oil. And as the Canadian is going up in value, which is losing against the dollar, oil has been going down. It's losing against the buyers. In other words, the sellers are winning. Now today you can see they're trying to stabilize after that long hangman of a candle right there. The long tail and all that. You see it in the sell there in our work for the last couple of weeks. And what else can we say about any of that? Let me say this about that. And that is that the pressure again. Oh, I saw a number this morning talked about. They say that Saudi Arabia cannot balance its budget unless they're getting $80.90 a barrel of oil. So that's probably why they keep on dancing back and forth, trying to, keep it up in the 80s. And it seems to stop out up there and then find sellers, and they go down into the 60s and they find buyers. So it seems like that's the range. Now let's switch these screens around. We go like that, and there is not that. There we go. Go like that, and there's Canadian. See, Canadian's kind of tailed off the last 2 days. And then let's take Canadian over here and put up crude oil. We'll just switch screens. And right there, light, sweet crude from Texas. And it's been dancing its way south. And with it, is that right? Yeah, that's going. As it goes down, the Canadian, if you've noticed, in the same time period, has been trying to climb up. And has its little zigzags in there at times, just like this did here. And so it's why we watch the Canadian on this basis. We watch it to see if it's going to give us a tip or an idea, or was it like a leading indicator of some form, possibly at times. It's more like a confirming indicator. It's not usually ahead of the curve. Oil seems to lead it more than it leads the oil. Now, unfortunately, for a long while we watched the South African rand for a couple of years, and it was a leading indicator to gold. But ever since the politics have gone totally upside down since December there, the South African rand, as you can see right there, has been in a kind of an upwardly fashion like that. And at the same time, when we go and look at gold right there, gold has been in a downwardly fashion. So that's good. At least it was trying to do the good thing, the correct thing. But unfortunately, it's way out of scale. In this case here, you can see gold is, roared up the last couple of days. And what's the South African rand doing? It's doing what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to go down against the dollar. In other words, when it goes down, it's gaining against the dollar. There's less rand to a dollar. And that means that the South Africans are gaining from it. But unfortunately, it has not worked out as well because, we price, since the political turmoil that started down there, which has not been resolved, this thing should be trading in the 14s at this point, not 18. So there's a haircut of over 4 handles on this product. Who knows? It may have traded down to 14.20, not 18.20 right now as it is, if it wasn't for the politics. And so that's been a real disturbing situation. We still follow it, thinking that one day they will do the right thing politically and resolve their issues down there, but I don't see it happening. Alrighty, that does it with the currencies. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw that other one up. I accidentally threw up on J4X. Let's go down to, we're going to look at GBP AUD if someone wants to look at it through the rear view mirror on the recording today. And you can see here it's trying to get back into the buy, which we kind of suggested we were looking for tomorrow. Or yesterday. We were thinking today or tomorrow they might do that again. Because it's been in a sell for a couple days here. Had a green dot here and could not get into it, but it was below, so we knew one thing was that there was pressure coming hard and fast. Sure enough, it came. And then you can see here the weekly is trying to tell us, nah, don't worry about it. That was only a short-term thing, and that's true. That's why we thought it would see a bounce today. It's barely bouncing, but the math is turning up, so that's not too bad. Alrighty. From there, we're going to go over to, let's see, so we finished off the currencies. So since we finished off the currencies, let's go to the metals. Since we got gold up there, let's go see what silver's doing. And that's the stock market. And it's just kind of meandering into Nowheresville. Right, there it is right there. And let's take a look at Silverado. Silverado. It's trying to get into the buy. You can see it's lifting up nicely there. And what else can we say about any of that? We got it right here on J4X. There's silver doing the same thing. It's punching its way up. We are almost, we got through 26 today, so that's cool. The high today is 26.16. This thing's got some, it's like starting to trade like oil, It's got some, its own natural volatility. It's VIX, implied volatility. So for you option derivative traders out there who would like to trade volatility, not particularly the product itself. So, and I laughed there for a second because I remember decades ago when people would say, "What do you do?" I was like, "Oh yeah, right now I'm just trading volatility," and they were like, "What? What is that?" It's like options. Oh yeah, I've heard about options. So what's volatility? Is there an option on volatility? Well, yeah, there is, but I'm trading the volatility itself. So I remember that was like a derivative on the top of a derivative on top of a derivative. Talk about, that. Ugh, that was fun. Anyway, I was a derivative trader for a long time. That was always fun. From there, and let me just throw this at you as two traders. One of the things I just learned from being a derivatives trader in currencies and stocks, I found that the currencies led the stocks in increasing and decreasing volatility a day or two involved. So I thought that was very fascinating. So and now I don't barely pay attention to the volatility. I've gone, as Doc Brown says in Back to the Future. He says, "Roads, we don't need no roads." Not where we're going. So, basically, I don't need to trade volatility or follow volatility for the work I do because my work is beyond that at this point. It's ahead of the curve. All right. There's that linear angle thing going on. All right. From there, as we see silver trying to, it's trading at 89.50. 89.50? 25.89. Oh, what is this? So we're looking at July. That's right. This is July, and right here you're looking at spot when you look at Dukascopy's bid and offer. That's spot. That's not delayed. That's just spot. So in other words, they're probably looking at the June contract. Let me just go take a peek and see. I'll tell you what they're looking at. Okay, so silver. right now silver is trading at 25.60 in the May contract, which is getting ready to expire. There's only 800 open interest in the futures contracts, and there's 78 trades today. That's it. The June contract has 106 trades today, and it has 908 contracts in open interest. So now, what we're watching is July, like in the 4th of July. And that has 27,981 contracts traded. A bit more than 78, obviously. And the open interest is not 800 or 900 or 1,000. It is 120,828. So that is the active contract. So it's not that Dukascopy is wrong. It's just that they're watching the spot. And I'm watching the 3 month out. Is it 3 months? Let's see. So 2 month out, I guess you could say. May is ready to expire any day now. Is that right? Yeah. May will expire in the next day, week. And then June, and I'm watching July, so I'm 2 months out. Alrighty, from there we'll go to copper. And there's the copper. It's trying to lift up today. We're getting a little action on the upside. A weekly is still in the weekly with no problem there, so I guess that's that China thing again. Do you know that I saw a stat today that was very interesting? They are 30% of the world manufacturing. Isn't that odd that their currency is only 2.5% of trading? Just shows you it's more domestic than it is export. Well, we're the largest trading partner with China. They have what they call something like chosen something blah blah blah. In other words, they can skip around things and other countries can't. Why we allow China to be, I always say it's because they're like our colony. You know, I mean, we treat them like a state, you know, like it's part of the country. But that's when I see copper showing that weakness. Oh yeah, I was saving this chart too at the same time. When I see copper showing that weakness, it just says to me that, you know, that the country is not growing compared to when it is growing. And the product had drifted down into the 330s, but it's down from the $5 area when you really look at copper itself. Let's put it up on the screen here. And copper at one point was trading up in the 5s. You see there's 460. There is $5. So you can see back in March of 22, I think that's what it is. March of 22, it was up $5 before the economy rolled over totally and inflation. It's like someone had to tell them that we had inflation. We've shown you where the currency over there didn't even move because of inflation for like 3 months, and then somebody smacked somebody and said, "Hey, our currency's fixed wrong. Fix it so it looks like we're free floating or something." But anyway, that's where we're at now. When I see weak copper, I think of weak China. But at producing 30% of world production of products, that's pretty cool. And we're like the big buyer of it, most of it. So I think we have a trade deficit this year of like $280 billion with them. All right. From copper, we go over to platinum. And there's platinum still trying. I guess at the end of the day yesterday, they started to pick it up a little bit. But it's rolling right over again today. So platinum not really showing much love for the metals complex at the moment. But the weekly, and I'll repeat, but the weekly is still trying to fight its way in there. Now you can see the fast-moving algorithm right here is minus at the moment. It's minus 610. But notice that the green, the slow one, is still above the manifold. So they could turn this thing around again. And since we're seeing silver today challenging the $26 area, and we have, what was gold? Let's go back to gold again. There's the gold. You can see the gold. Oh, yeah, right. At one point, they spiked gold today up to, what was that? $2,085. Going for the 2100. Wow. And then it choked again. It choked. And I guess that's why we see silver today, right there. Now it did not pop like that, you know. And the high there was that 26.10. The high there is 26. Was that 32? And that one is 33. And today is, I think, 16, was it? Yeah, 16. So we're seeing pressure on the upside, but not enough to get too excited. And when you look at the gold, we can do that. We can go back and look at that gold again. How much is it off the highs today? So they really, whatever gave them that, jolt up to the 85 area, it's trading right now at 42. That's $43. It dropped $43 off its high so far today. Wow. And it's at the lows of the day. That's whatever came in, whoever came in buying obviously is rattled to the fact that they should not have been buying so aggressively. But then that's the market. You can't tell the market not to do these things. It's just part of the market. That's the way things do things. It is the way. Hey, there's Robin. Oh, woo, woo, woo. Hey, Robin. I was getting lonely out here. I feel like Robinson Crusoe. Robinson. You know what? I'm pretty happy as Robinson Crusoe, actually. I shouldn't say that, actually, but out loud. But, yeah, I could be on a desert island. No problem. There might be a lot of... I'd have to figure out how to write down formulas on things without it getting washed away by rain. But after that, I'll find a cave. Put it in my cave. It'll be like cave drawings. Someone comes along and, 1,000 years is like, this guy's doing differential equations and topology combined together? Holy moly. What's up with this guy? Or gal. Could have been a gal. You never know. All right. Well, they would find the bones unless I feed myself to a shark or something like that. Oh, no. If it has a volcano, I'll jump in the volcano at the end. Yes, definitely. If I'm 99 years old and ready to die, I'll been sleeping next to the volcano for months. And just roll right over into the volcano. Sacrifice me to the volcano. Joe and the Volcano. One of my favorite movies. With orange soda, no less. All right. So from there, that cleans off our look at the metals complex, unless someone wants to see the metals. Yes, been here the whole time. Oh, good. All right, now let's go over to the oil again. There it is there. And it's coming off its lows. What was the lows today? Oh, they did it. Did they bang the 63? I knew we'd get a 63 sooner or later. Yeah, they banged the 63. Okay, cool. Last time it stalled out in the 64s on me. I was like, no, I want to touch the 63s. So that's a $5 move off the lows. Wow. Talk about zip, zam, and zowie, huh? That's the June contract. Let's see what they're doing to the July contract. Is that right? That's not that far off. How can we... Oh, no, September. I'm sorry, the September contract. There's the September contract. 67.93 versus 68.44. 93. Okay, so that's not bad. That's 51 cents. We're seeing it tighten up from the back to the front. So that's something there. And there's the crude. Let's put Brent up on. Let's see if that's trading at 68. I guess Brent's trading at 73 maybe. Let's see what Brent is looking like. 72.45. 72.44. Okay. So it's a $4, and that's shrinking down a little bit. Not by much. About the same as yesterday. I was just, don't ask me why I said 73. I was thinking the high 72s. Nah. I said it, was it? Meh. I said it out loud. That's what it is. I said 73, and I was wrong. Okay, so you can see that they're both, there we are. And move that over like so. You can see that they've both been doing wild woolly dances all the way down. Didn't take out its low, that's interesting. And did we take out the low there? That is... The low there is... Yeah, we did. We took out that low because that's 65.93. That's 65.59. So this thing... Boy, they really panicked the oil down. Benny! Benny and the Jets. Dun, 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 dun. I put the GBP AUD up. I showed it at the very end, so we'll go right back to it right now by welcoming you. Open workspace. Allah wala. Might cross languages at times around here. And there it is. No, it's not. That's the euro. And there it is right there. It's trying to get into that buy we talked about yesterday. Look at that. It's that. Remember my work. Oh, let's fix that. See if we can fix the reset the scale or format the price scale. I guess that's what it is. So I go like that. Let's see if we can make it bigger. Biggerish. Oh, yeah. There we go. Now you can see it a little bit better. There we go. That's even better. Look at that. All right, so let's save that too. Save workspace. There we are. And so you can see we are minus 0.00047. Remember, my math is set up for atomic theory, so I never adjust it. I let it be as crazy as it wants to be on the minute level. So just as you can see on the weekly here, it's only at 0.01. It doesn't go 4 digits out. Or in this case here, yeah, 4 digits out before we get a number. And if there is really a 0 to begin with. All right. So in this, could there be no 0 in life? Anyway, there's GBP AUD. It's trying to lift up like we thought it might. What do you think of? What do you think is suitable by around when? Thank you. Aha. What do you think is a suitable buy around when? Well, we're in a buy. You know, that's the problem, is that every time it goes into a daily buy, it's well worth buying. And then we'll show you the reason why. When it, let's see, what's up with that? There it is. Okay, so when this goes into a weekly buy on the algorithm, okay, in this case here, you see the strength coming in, and the slow has not been able to pierce yet. It's just like a thousandth of off. You see it's flatlining in a sense. And then it gets into the weekly buy here, right? There's the 0 line right there, okay? So you see it busts through there. It's telling us that strength is coming, and we go into we went into a daily buy, right? Where the hell did we go into daily buy? I think we went into daily buy like way back here even. Did we? No, that might be a minus. Is that a minus? Yeah, that's a minus 0.0032. Okay. So we went into the daily buy right here. Let's put the line in there for you. All right. So so it went into the buy there. So it was giving us warnings on a short-term basis that it's trying to climb. All right. So follow my train of thought here. Then the fast joins in. When the weekly and the daily join in together, it's a comfortable long. Notice that it has a good habit of going up when it does that. And then now you're not taking a sell here. Instead, you're taking a profit. And then when it goes into a sell and then gets back into the buy, then you can buy it again. And then see, it has a habit again of making money. And then it goes into a sell here. You don't get short. You just take your profit again. And then it goes into a buy here, and then it goes up, 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 and again for another week. Again, you know, and so then we come into a period when we get this, like I like to call it a vortex. It's like a weather vortex, or in some ways it's one of my crazy concepts of Zeno's paradox. You know, so we can go into that some other time. But in the end result is that there's in other words, you keep on trying to reduce the velocity, the delta to it. And next thing you know is that you're never getting to zero. In other words, you cannot reach zero ever. And the end result is that it goes into a buy, it fails, it gives up some of the profits takes away these profits right there, but you've got all these other wins. So then you're not short, but you taking it on the chin, and then classic doc math, it gets you back into the long again, and of course it makes back what you gave away. Our math always does that. That's what makes me happy for like the last 40 trading years. And so then from there you go into a sell here. Again, you don't go short, and you're glad that you're not, because it's a really sloppy little beast. Gets into the buy there and it fails, and you lose money again. It's like, oh darn. And then what does it do again? We're in that weekly buy still. So you can buy the buys, but don't fool with the sells. And then that is like winner, winner, chicken dinner. And another nice win. Okay, so we get into a buy here. And this isn't a buy. Then you can buy it. And chances are it'll go up. Probably go into the 90s. And that's the way this whole thing works. What else can we say about any of that? I guess that's it. So when it goes into that's your answer basically. What do you think is a suitable buy around when? And that's when. I've been doing too much logging the last couple of days. I'm a lumberjack. I've been wearing plaid shirts. When? That's the when. When it gets into a buy. So and it's in a weekly buy. So how's that? Does that make sense to you? Okay. So, okay. So now, brown cow. What are we doing next here? I just got a ding. What's that ding from? Crew. Cool. Confirmation. Cool. All right. Let's see what Crew's got to say. Anyway, we're getting out of here. We've had too much fun in one day. This is Doc from North America, who likes to talk like a trader who doesn't live here. And we will catch you all tomorrow on TGIF. TGIF. Thank goodness it's going to be Friday. Oh, we got busy things to do. What to do. So, happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you, to all our trading friends. Later, traders. Be safe, be smart. Arrivederci. Not buongiorno.